Hey, my name is Marco, and this episode will teach you everything you need to know when you want to get started with millipedes. Stay tuned. Millipedes come from all over the world except the polar continents. They can range from really tiny creatures to animals up to 35 centimeters long. The most important thing in keeping millipedes is the substrate. They live in it, they molt in it, they breathe in it, and they eat it. This container right here will be set up for Spirostreptus servatius, one of my favorite species. You'll see them later in the video. The first part will be mixing into the substrate will be organic compost. Make sure it's organic and has no added chemical things. We're gonna build a nice thick layer. There, that's it. The second part will be broken and rotten leaves. If you go into the woods and you take away the first layer of leaves, the layer underneath, that's the best part. It's already partially broken down, decomposed, it's softer. Give that a good mix. The next part I like to add in is something that not everyone is going to be able to get, but you need to have a rotten wood structure in your ground. I get mine from a local mushroom breeder. He breeds the mushrooms on sawdust, and when they're spawned out, this is what remains. So it's really soft, really well rotten. You can of course also get into the woods, get white rotten wood, the kind that really flakes down when you press it. I'm gonna give it a good mix. We need a really big layer because the Spirostreptus servatius, they're a species that gets pretty long, and the bigger the species is, the more ground you actually need for them to molt in. When a millipede needs to molt, he should be able to get in the ground and be left alone. Millipedes can molt on the surface, but that's not really a good thing. They're really vulnerable when they're molting. Their exoskeleton breaks, they come out and they're all soft, and when other animals or yourself bother them, it might harm them. For the last part of the substrate, you need some form of calcium. The millipedes need it to remain strong and have a hard exoskeleton. I use cuttlefish bone that I mash up. Alternatively, you can use eggshells that you crush. You can use bird grit, as long as there's some form of calcium in your substrate. When you're feeding your animals, you can also add in some calcium powder, so they get in some more calcium that way. I'm gonna mix it all. And press it down a little bit. Now, another important thing in keeping millipedes is their humidity. So I'm gonna spray it down a bit. Of course, I can't give a general guideline for all species because they all differ, but for most species that are being kept in a hobby, you want the humidity around 70–75%. And as for substrate humidity, that often means if you take the substrate and you squeeze it, it stays in form, but it doesn't drip out any water. So this one will need a little bit more. If you currently own any millipedes or plan on keeping some in the future, feel free to let me know the species in the comments down below. Also hit that subscribe button while you're at it. It is much appreciated. There. Now, depending on what species you keep, some might like climbing. I have these nice branches, also from the local mushroom breeder. It's nice soft semi-rotten wood with some algae and moss growth on it. And most millipedes will also eat it. I like to bury the branch to the bottom so that it can't impact when they dig in it. And then press down around it. There we go. Adding another log just at the floor. As a last part, I will be adding some leaves. The leaves serve multiple purposes. First of all, they help remain humidity in the tank or in the plastic container. They are also food for the millipedes. The freshly fallen leaves are still pretty hard and won't be eaten as much, but they will break down over time and then they will start eating as well. And lastly, they provide for a security layer for them to lay underneath. Further than that, you can add some live plants, mosses. All is quite possible. I don't add a water dish, they don't really need it. You can add one, but make sure they can escape, and in case they breed, that the tiny millipedes can escape as well. In case you breed them, the tiny millipedes will be like a few millimeters tall and they drown super easily. But breeding millipedes is something for in a future episode. I will now show you the Spirostreptus servatus that are going into this terrarium. They're pretty long and thin species. Probably won't show up well now. This is still a young specimen. They can grow up to around 30 centimeters. I will add them now. And most likely they will go hiding right away. When you're handling millipedes, always keep in mind that they can secrete some kind of toxin. It's not really harmful, but it taints your fingers. Of course, you don't have to start licking it. There are a few species out there that are really harmful. They spray an acid, and you can really spray it, and it gives burn wounds. And they're almost all gone. But at least they're happy. Now when it comes to feeding these animals, They, as with all animals, like variety, and variety is always key. They like eating fresh leafy greens, they like fruits, they like eating mushrooms, different kind of fungi that grow on trees. They also eat the leaves, the rotten wood, that's all in the substrate. If you happen to have any logs with nice pieces of moss on top of it, throw it in your tank, they will munch on that as well. And it's also important that they get some sort of animal protein every now and then. The easiest way to provide them with animal protein is by putting in a small dish, pre-soak some fish flakes, some koi sticks, let it sit, put it in a tank, and they'll eat it right away. For general care of millipedes, we like to mist them about 3 times a week, make sure the humidity stays in check, and we feed them about 3 times a week. If you have food that is prone to rotting, make sure to check it the day after that you remove it. Some kind of foods, they like it when it stays a day longer in the tank because it becomes softer. Some species prefer it softer. I'll now take my camera, turn it around and try to get some close-up shots of the millipedes so you can get a better look of the Spirostreptus servatius. What a nice looking animal. The red on them is just absolutely beautiful. This was all about the general care and setup for millipedes. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. If you get in contact through any of the social media, you will almost always get into direct contact with me. In the future we will have more detailed millipede videos, species dependent ones, videos about breeding, more about their anatomy. So stick around while we grow our channel and our videos. Let's see if I can find one more. Hello, beautiful. Goodbye, beautiful. That wraps up this video. Thanks a lot for watching and see you next time. Bye.